Okay, everyone. So today we're going to be talking about chemical bonds. Okay. Chemical bonds. We've talked about this in another video, but it's kind of at the end. I think it's better to make it a separate video so you guys can just watch this if you have any questions. So chemical bonds are super important. One question I think I talked to you guys about in class was, if we only have 118 elements, why are there just millions and millions of other compounds out there? There's so many different things in the world. How do we make so many different things from just 118 elements? You can think of these kind of like Legos, like Lego pieces, okay? And the reason for that is because we have chemical bonds. So a chemical bond, here's your definition right here. Let's draw an atom. Let's draw how about a sodium and a chlorine. Chemical bond, usually they're represented by these little lines like this. And a good definition is a strong attraction between two atoms, okay? Chemical bonds make up, basically, our entire body would not be possible if we didn't have chemical bonds. Our skin is made up of chemical bonds. The different parts of our cells are made up of chemical bonds. The hair on our heads is made up of chemical bonds. Our fingernails, every part of your body is usually a compound, which means it's multiple elements bonded together and not just the elements itself, okay? So complex life like humans or any life at all would not be possible without chemical bonds. They're super, super important for us, okay? Now, so I guess the first thing you should know about them is they make compounds possible. So if you remember what a compound is, if you remember what a compound is different types of atoms stuck together. So, for example, up here we have sodium here and a chlorine stuck together in a bond. This is a compound because sodium is one type of atom, chlorine is a different type of atom. If it was a sodium molecule bonded to another sodium, it wouldn't be a compound, it would be an element, okay? So without bonds, compounds wouldn't be possible. There's two major kinds that we'll be talking about in this project, and that is covalent and ionic. Just by way of curiosity, this bond right here between a sodium and a chlorine, this is an ionic bond. But another example of a bond is the bond in the H2 molecule. So it's one hydrogen bonded to another hydrogen. This is a covalent bond. It's a terrible arrow, but it's a covalent bond. You're gonna learn way more about these as you go through the project. We don't really have time to get into that right now. Another thing about bonds is they're usually formed by electrons. Okay. The way that atoms use their electrons to do different things is what causes bonds to form. And so that's going to be important, why electrons do certain things the way that they do. And then the final thing about chemical bonds is that they can hold energy. So we've talked about this before in class as well. When you are camping with your friends or family and you want to make a fire and you put a log on the fire and then you start it and it starts burning, you can feel heat, you can feel energy coming off of that fire, and that heat is coming up from the breaking of the chemical bonds inside of the wood, okay? And it's the same with the food you eat. When you eat food, it goes into your stomach, you digest it, and you use it for energy. Your body breaks those bonds, and the bonds release energy when it's broken. And so that's what allows us to be alive, is because chemical bonds hold energy. Okay, so there's a lot more we could talk about with chemical bonds. They can get really complicated if you get into the really high levels of chemistry, but for now, these are the main things that we want to know. It's a strong attraction between two atoms. They make compounds possible. There's two major kinds, which are covalent and ionic bonds. They're formed by electrons, and they can hold energy.